Welcome back to the implementation series with My Vision Express. At this time, we're going to continue speaking about inventory, and we're going to now proceed with frames inventory. So, in order to access that inventory, we're going to go to File, Inventory, Frames. And this is the frame inventory listing that you currently have in your database. Really quickly, these buttons are familiar in any inventory utility in My Vision Express. We have the Add button in which you can add the item, Modify in which you'll modify the highlighted item, Duplicate in which you could maybe more efficiently create an item that's very similar to the one that is existing that's highlighted, Delete to delete the item, Sort to sort, Filter to filter out this list with any criteria you may select for that filtering. This actually says delete from all. You might not be able to see the all, but that's if you have multiple locations and you wish to delete that item from all locations. Labels is covered later in a tutorial with barcode labels. And importing is when a manufacturer gives you a comma separated value file, which could be edited in Excel so that these columns are in this order, and you would want them to be in this order that's provided right here so that it's compatible once you import it into frame inventory listing, and then you would see all the information that was provided in that CSV file. You'll notice that right now, after I clicked OK, it's asking where the location of that import file is, and you would therefore browse to that file. So let's take a look at the layout of the actual frame inventory when you actually look at an item itself. And you will see all the fields that are associated with the descriptions or the characteristics of this particular frame. The first couple fields are real straightforward. You've got manufacturer, collection, and frame name, as well as color, a color number if there is one associated with that, and material. Outside of that, the specifics that you're really going to want to take a look at that we highly recommend that you fulfill here are rim type I, A, B, E, D. These box numbers right here are very important to make sure that you have specified. In case the frame does go to a lab, that information is available. Right here is the source of the frame, which if you have this highlighted or checked off, excuse me, it's activated in your inventory. And at order time, because the source is inventory, it would deduct your on hand as opposed to the supply or the order, which would order the item itself. Shape and gender are straightforward as well. This UPC, if left blank when you're creating this order, will be generated by the system, and that's where the UPC type actually comes into play. You have a number of different types of standards. Typically, you'll see system because it's generated if you're creating this manually. You may see this as well if you've created this from a legacy UPC that you may or may not have had. In addition, you can enter a user SKU, which works as an alternative UPC at order time. Procedure codes, we covered procedure codes that's set up for the implementation, but real quickly, 2020 is a basic frame, 2025 is a deluxe frame. Typically, an insurance carrier will notify you when a particular frame needs to be designated as a 2025 deluxe frame, or if there's any overage associated with that. Right here you have your group cost, your manufacturer suggested retail price, which you may not want to fulfill, and the profit is calculated from the retail minus the cost. So this is your list cost right there, and there's a couple of ways that retail could actually be entered. It could be entered directly on its own field, or it can also be calculated based on its group cost right here. This is covered more in depth with frame markup, and that's how the frame is going to be within the group cost range and also matching the collections specified by one of the formulas on the frame markup screen. And that's covered more in depth in uh, in training with group cost and also with frame markup. You can also see right here that if you wish to have any sort of commission structure, that's available as well. Um, right here, you can have these different types of structures which are currently in the system, and there's also covered in the setup too on how to create a different structure if it's not available. You could provide a spiff. You can also designate what type of commission. So if amount is selected, obviously you would set that amount right here. Or if gross percentage is selected, you would fulfill that right here. You can also, right here, if you want to upload a frame trace file from your computer, you would enter the path or browse to that actual file. And this trace file is attached to orders that contain its frame and is forwarded electronically to labs supported by any of the MyVision Express lab interfaces. There is a lens range right here, and this allows you to select the power range that a frame can accommodate. And this can be the combined power of the lenses or the sphere equivalence of that actual lens. Once this information is set, MyVision Express can validate the corresponding lens parameters in the order and ensure that it meets the specified criteria for the frame. Right here you have a list, you have a column of valid lens styles. And if no valid lens style is defined, then all lens styles are considered valid. However, if you select just a few or one of these valid lens styles, then when an order is created and a lens is selected for the frame at the order and it's not valid, it will trigger a warning notifying the user that the lens style does not match the frame. Final thing in here we'll take a look at real quickly is the transactions. And here you can add a transaction. So if you're wanting to update your on hand or take away your quantity, you do that here, as well as selecting any of the descriptions here that you would want to describe the inventory transaction. So if you had this amount and you wanted to update your on hand, and let's just add 10, then you'd notice that right now you currently have 11. If you selected the sales radio button, this would show all the orders that have this frame associated with it, and you could see these transactions right below. So that's about it for the frame inventory and the setup. And just real quickly, one more time, we do want to stress that you look at these eventually. If you need to set your frames up in an efficient manner, that's fine, but we do want you to make sure that these fields are specified with the information that we talked about. And next we will continue doing more inventory and more implementation.